was made official, well, mathematically official, on Sunday night that the San Jose Sharks were officially eliminated from the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. And that should not be a surprise to anybody. If you weren't living under a rock, you would know that it's more than likely that San Jose was going to miss the playoffs this year. And that was the likely outcome. However, I do think the on ice product has improved. They have won more games than they did last year, I'm pretty sure. And as well as that, too, I think that they have a really bright future ahead, regardless of the struggles this year. So, up to this point, with them being eliminated in playoff contention, they are 18, 41, and 9 for 45 points. They are 32nd in the NHL and have a .331 points percentage. They have scored 178 goals and have allowed 255, which is a minus 77 difference. They are 10, 21, and 2 at home, and they are 8, 20, and 7 on the road. So, a couple things to talk about here. First off, again, we knew that San Jose wasn't going to make the playoffs this year. We knew that even though they got Celebrini in the first round of the draft, they got Sam Dickinson, they got a couple other guys who are looking like they're going to be really bright for this Sharks future. We knew they weren't going to make the playoffs this year, but we knew it was going to be fun. We knew there were going to be pretty fun points in the season. It was going to be, though, for the most part, a drag. And a drag it definitely was, that's for sure. And overall, I do want to say that the Sharks have played very well in some games that I've watched them play. Again, I don't get to watch a lot of San Jose games because, again, they're on the West Coast and I live on the East Coast and I just can't stay up with school and everything and that. But overall, I think they have gotten a lot better. The on-ice product looks a lot better under Warsofsky. It seems like things have gotten a lot better than they were under Quinn last season, and I just think overall this team is in a much better spot than they were 12 months ago. And even then, 12 months ago, they were still in a pretty decent spot. I wouldn't say they were in a bad area at all. So let's go through some of the players who have been most notable this season for the San Jose Sharks. At the end of the season, we'll go into more of like a broad perspective on what the Sharks are and, you know, what this season was really like and looking more forward towards the future. But this is kind of a state of the San Jose Sharks right now with the current core that they have put together. Macklin Celebrini leads the team in scoring with 56 goals, or 56 games played. I always make that mistake. 21 goals, 29 assists for 50 points. That 50 points is first place on the team. And Celebrini is one of the top contenders for the Calder Trophy. So, the Calder for me is a little bit complicated because you have four rookies who could win the thing, who really could win it. And I think it goes like this. You got to include Hudson in a finalist role. He's having an insane year as a defenseman, has led the league in points for rookies pretty much all season. You got to put Wolf in there because if the Flames make the playoffs, I think Dustin Wolf is almost a lock for that award, to be honest with you. And then it's between Macklin Celebrini and Matvei Michkov. Now, I know the Sharks fans are going to say Celebrini. I'm a Flyers fan, but I'm also going to say Celebrini. I don't think that Celebrini should be discredited because he's played less games than Michkov, even though Michkov has been benched a lot in some of the games he's played. I think Celebrini has been doing way better in a lesser amount of time and just has so much more. I feel like another benefit with him, too, is that he has, like, actual line mates and guys like Eklund and Toffoli, and I think he was playing with Zetterlund for a little bit. But now, you know, things have kind of, since those guys have been traded, but he still, I think, has the same line mates he's had pretty much the entire season. But overall, I think that Celebrini definitely, I wouldn't know if I put him as the number one guy to win it just because it's such a close race. Like, you could flip it either way. You could put Michkov at 1 and Celebrini at 4. You could put Celebrini at 1, Wolf at 2, Hudson 4. Like, you could flip it around any way that you want. It's really all going to be on preference. I do think, though, that because Celebrini has that first overall pick name to him, and he's been doing great on a really bad San Jose Sharks team, and it is only 6 points below point per game, which he could very well get to that point if he has a couple of 2 or 3 point games to end off the season. But overall, for Celebrini, he should be a finalist, without a doubt. I don't know if he wins the thing just because of how close it's going to be, but he should be a finalist for sure. Next up, William Eklund, 63 games played, 14 goals, 35 assists, which is first on the team for 49 points. Eklund's been another real positive, right in there behind Celebrini. So I think he's also been a great piece as well that's been added to that Sharks roster when he was drafted back in 2021. Again, that draft was absolutely brutal, and he's looking like the really only solid pick in that top 10. I know that's not entirely true, but, he's been really good for San Jose and has kind of had a really good breakout year here and leads the team in assists. I think he's going to be doing that for a good time in his career. It's exciting to see what the direction is going to be with Eklund moving on in the future, and I'm intrigued to see, they build more guys around him and things like that. I wonder what it's going to be like for a player like him. So I'm looking forward to seeing Eklund as well. Tyler Toffoli, 65 games played, 25 goals, which is ranked first on the team, 20 assists for 45 points as well. Again, Toffoli's right in there with all those guys in that push for the first spot. Like, again, that first line of Celebrini, Eklund, Toffoli is just miles better than anything else on this roster. Like, there's a few other guys who are doing okay, but apart from that, like, especially after the deadline, it gets pretty scarce. It does. So overall, I think Toffoli, Eklund, and Celebrini has been a great line. Toffoli staying there with the Sharks, I think, has been a great fit. I don't think he's going to leave anytime soon, and he's going to be very exciting there to watch alongside those two guys. And also Will Smith. Will Smith as well has been playing primarily second line, I would say. Smith, 60 games played, 13 goals, 22 assists for 35 points. Smith, a little bit slower than the other two. I think that's because he may not be as with stronger line mates. Like, I think Celebrini has absolutely been rolling with Eklund and Toffoli. Like, that's why he's been, not solely why, but that's probably been a little bit of why he's been just so lights out. As for Smith, he's kind of been, a little bit different than those two, but he still had a solid season. Just took a little bit to get off the ground. There was some criticism there, but I think overall, Smith is that guy that we know he can be and is a good going to be a good player when he gets to that point in his career. Alex Wennberg, 63 games played, 8 goals, 23 assists, 31 points. Wennberg hasn't been a bad fit. I think he's been a guy who's been a good, third liner, second liner for this San Jose roster. He's not going to be a guy who scores you a ton of points. Again, he's fifth in the team in scoring, though. It just shows you how bad this Sharks team really is. But overall, I do think that Wennberg has an exciting point ahead with San Jose if he does end up staying there. And who knows, maybe in the offseason he gets traded to a contender with the season that he's having and becomes a fourth-line secondary scorer. It's not out of the question there with Wennberg. Nikolai Kovalenko. Kovalenko is a little bit of an interesting case because the points completely drop off from here. 49 games played, 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points this season with San Jose. Colorado. I'm pretty sure those stats include the Avalanche. Kovalenko is an interesting case because apparently he came out in a press conference a few days ago and said that Ryan Warsofsky, the coach, hates Russians. And look, I don't really know how to take that, to be honest with you. I'm not going to come on here and be like, oh, he hates Russians and all that. But Kovalenko did say that. That is a quote you can go look up. It's something that I kind of remembered with him and the coach. So maybe that's why they have been struggling. But I do wonder if that might lead to a change of scenery later on in the future. It's not impossible. But yeah, Kovalenko was acquired in that Blackwood trade, which looked out pretty good for the Sharks. But overall, I think that it's an interesting case, and we'll have to see where Kovalenko goes from here. Also, a guy they picked up recently, not really recently, but Timothy Liljegren, at the beginning of the season, 54 games played, 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points with the Sharks. I think there's some games in there with the Leafs, but I'm not 100% sure. Liljegren, I think hasn't been a bad fit. Again, the Sharks' blue line is pretty terrible, and Liljegren wasn't a fit in Toronto's defense. He just was the odd man out a lot of the time. And now that he's getting regular minutes and regular time with San Jose, I think it's definitely a better look there. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens there with Liljegren, but I don't think he's been terrible with the Sharks. And then finally for the Skaters, Mario Ferraro, 68 games played, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. With Jake Wallman leaving, I think it's pretty clear that Ferraro is their number one defenseman, is their best defenseman, at least as of right now. I think even like before then, he was probably their number 2 or maybe number 3. But I think right now he's probably their clear-cut number 1 guy. And it just shows you that defense is not very strong at all. But you do have some other positives on there. Like Henry Thrun, I think, has looked good this year when he's been up with the team. And there's also been a couple other guys that I didn't mention there either, like Colin Graff. The scoring's been a little bit slower with Graff, but he's been in the American Hockey League a lot for the season. He's actually been pretty solid down there with the Barracuda, so I like him there as well. Again, like this Sharks team really is building towards a better future, and I don't think enough people realize that they might get first overall again. And if they get first overall again, I think you can put it in as a lock that Matthew Schaefer is going to go to the Sharks. I'm not saying that it's going to be like 100%, it's 100% going to happen, but it's seemingly becoming more and more likely that that outcome is going to happen. So I'm very intrigued to see there what's going to go on there with San Jose. Do they get first overall? Will they end up being another top 3 pick? They definitely will be top 3. It's just a matter of what number in the top 3. So we'll have to see. Looking at the goaltenders, though, who have played games for the Sharks this year, Alex Georgiev starting off with a 13-23-1 record, a 3.64 and a .875 save percentage. Georgiev was traded there midway through the season this year, actually pretty early on in the season, from Colorado with Kovalenko and a couple others for Blackwood. Turned out to be a good trade for the Sharks, but Georgiev really did help out in that tank because he has not been great with San Jose. But yeah, he helped him out there get to that first overall best odds spot. So we'll have to see there what happens with Georgiev and San Jose. I wonder, like, maybe he gets traded somewhere. Maybe they keep him to next year so they can fuel the tank. But yeah, I found that pretty funny when I was thinking about it with Georgiev. And then Yaroslav Askarov has not played a lot. He has not played a ton. People do forget that Vitek Vanacek was here for a lot of the season. And as a result, he hasn't. As a result, the Sharks have not played Askarov a lot. So this season, Askarov has a 4-6-2 record, a 3.10 and a .896. Again, those numbers aren't terrific. They're actually pretty average, I guess, at this point in the NHL. It's pretty difficult to get above a .900 in this league today, especially on a terrible team like San Jose. So don't chalk those numbers up to be like, he's struggling. I wouldn't necessarily say that. He's had some pretty good games this season, especially ones that I've watched. So I think that Askarov, the talent and everything is there. It's just a matter of, can the team in front of him get better and can he get to the NHL level at a consistent rate? But I do think that at some point we may see him as the starting position goaltender, maybe next season, maybe the following season after that. I think Georgiev does have one more year left on his deal. So you might see Georgiev as the full-time guy for one more season. But obviously, we will see. And that is your little bit of a review of the Sharks so far this season. Kind of a little bit of, I wanted to do this with every team when they get eliminated, when they clinch. So, I kind of wanted to do that here. And we're going to start off with it today with the Sharks because they are the first team to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Preliminary thoughts down below. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like down below. And please do consider subscribing to join the community that we are building here. I'm not sure when the next team gets eliminated. It'll probably be Chicago. I just don't know when. But when that happens, expect a video here from me. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.